Hello friends, I hope you are doing well. In today's class, we are going to design a wooden lattice basket which you can see on the screen. First, I will delete the default cube and then press Shift plus A to create a cylinder. I will set the vertices to 20. I will go to edit mode and select all the geometry and move it 1 meter up on the z-axis in edit mode. After that, I will go to X-ray mode and select top vertices and move them 0.5 meter down on the z-axis. I will select top face and delete it. Then I will select bottom face and press I to insert it. After that, I will select last face and press X to delete it. Then I will select one edge loop and click on select. Then I will go to the select similar and select length. By doing this, all the edges of same length will be selected. I will bevel these edges. Then I will press Ctrl plus I to invert the selection. So the selected faces will be deselected and the selected ones will be selected. After that, I will press X to delete those faces. Next, I will press Shift plus A to create a plane and make sure the plane's scale matches the size of this part. I will then select and delete all the other faces except for the portion that aligns with the plane. Now I will go into edit mode on the plane, press Ctrl plus R to create some edge loops and add as many edge loops as we have parts above. This will help us align and join them together seamlessly. I will select the new edges we have created and press Ctrl plus B to bevel them. After that, I will select the faces created by the bevel and delete them to create gaps similar to the ones in the upper parts. Then I will select both objects and press Ctrl plus J to join them. After that, I will go into edit mode, select these edges and press F to fill them. I will continue this process for all the edges until everything is filled in properly. Now that our object is complete, I will select it and press Shift plus D to duplicate it. Then I will press R and Z to rotate it 90 degrees along the z-axis. After that, I will go into face select mode, select the central faces of this object and move them upward along the z-axis. Similarly, I will select the corresponding faces of the second object and move them downward along the z-axis. Now I will select both and press Ctrl plus J to join them. After that, I will select the object, go to the modifiers tab and add a solidify modifier. I will increase the thickness value. If we notice any geometry issues, I will switch the mode from simple to complex and set the offset value to 0. After that, I will further adjust the thickness value. Then I will add a subdivision surface modifier and set the levels value to 2. Next, I will select all the bottom edges and press Ctrl plus B to bevel them. After that, I will right click and choose Shade Smooth. If needed, we can increase the levels value even more. Finally, I will select all these top edges and extrude them to add a supporting edges. I will now press Shift plus A to create a cylinder from the mesh options. I will set the vertices to 20 and choose nothing for the cap fill type so that there are no caps on the top and bottom. Next, I will go into edit mode and scale down the cylinder along the z-axis. You can adjust the scale as needed to fit your design. After that, I will enable X-ray mode and switch to vertex select mode. I will carefully select these vertices, leaving one vertex in between each selection. Once all the necessary vertices are selected, I will scale them up slightly. Then I will press Ctrl plus I to invert the selection and scale those vertices down, creating an alternating pattern. After that, I will go to the Modifiers tab and add a Subdivision Surface modifier, followed by a Solidify modifier. I will move the Solidify modifier above the Subdivision Surface modifier and set the levels value to 2 in Subdivision Surface modifier. I will adjust the thickness value in Solidify modifier until it looks right. If further adjustments are needed, I will go back to the vertices and scale them up or down as required. Finally, I will right click and choose Shade Smooth. Once I am satisfied with the shape, I will select it, press Shift plus D to duplicate it, and move the duplicate along the Z-axis with some spacing. By pressing Shift plus R, I can repeat the last action multiple times to create more duplicates. I will then select every second object and rotate them from the top view by pressing R and Z to rotate along the Z-axis, creating a twisted pattern. If the last part overlaps with the mesh, I will select the bottom edge loop and scale it down to adjust the shape accordingly. I will press Shift plus A again to create another cylinder and set the vertices to 20. Then I will go into edit mode, select the bottom face and press P to separate it. I will delete the remaining part of the cylinder, leaving only the separated face. Next, I will select this face, switch to edit mode and move it 1 meter upward along the Z-axis. I will adjust its scaling to match the other object. After that, I will press I to inset the face. And then press Ctrl plus R to create a few edge loops. I will select and delete the center face. Then I will select the edge loops and move them upward along the Z-axis to avoid overlapping with the other object. It's often easier to make these adjustments from the top view, so I will switch to the top view and align everything accordingly. Next, I will select one edge loop, go to the select menu, choose select similar and then length to select all edges of the same length. I will deselect these two edge loops that I don't want to bevel. Then I will press Ctrl plus B to bevel the remaining selected edges. From the newly created beveled faces, I will select alternating faces loops and move them downward along the Z-axis. Then I will select the remaining beveled face loops and move them upward along the Z-axis. After that, I will press Ctrl plus 2 to add a subdivision surface modifier and then add a solidify modifier. Placing the solidify modifier above the subdivision surface modifier in the stack. I will adjust the thickness value as needed and right click to choose Shade Smooth. For now, I will disable the Solidify modifier to get a clearer view of the mesh. I will select alternate phase loops and press P to separate them. Then I will rotate one of the separated parts slightly along the z-axis to create a consistent pattern with the rest of the object. Finally, I will re-enable the solidify modifier for both parts. Now I will design a rope-like shape. I have previously uploaded a YouTube video specifically about designing ropes, so if anyone wants more details, they can check that out. However, I will also explain the rope related steps here. First, I will hide all other parts so I can focus only on the rope section. I will press Shift plus A to create a circle and set the vertices to 20. Then I will go into edit mode and move it slightly along the x-axis and scale it down significantly. After scaling down, I will press Shift plus A to create an empty axis object. I will select the circle, go to the modifiers tab and add an array modifier. In the array modifier setting, I will disable relative offset and enable object offset. Then use the eyedropper tool to pick the empty object as the offset target. Next, I will rotate the empty object 90 degrees around the z-axis. Then I will select circle again and set the count value in the array modifier to 4. After this, I will go to the modifiers tab and add a screw modifier and set the screw value. Now if you look at it, our shape is appearing a bit tapered. I will go into edit mode and rotate the circle 45 degrees on the x-axis, which will give it a round shape. Now you will notice that the shape is overlapping. To prevent this overlapping, I will move the circle slightly on the x-axis in edit mode. After that, I will add an array modifier again and set the factor value for x to 0 and z to 1. Now you will see there is spacing between the two parts. I don't want that spacing, so I will reduce the z-axis factor value. I will set it so that there is minimal gap between the two parts. Then I will enable the merge option. Since our object is quite small, I will have to reduce the merge distance. Now you can see that the value is set correctly. After that, I can increase the count value. Now I will press Alt plus H to unhide the objects we had hidden earlier. Now I will press Shift plus A to create a circle from the curve option and move that circle to the top of this object. Now with the rope-like shape we created earlier selected, I will first apply the first array modifier. Then I will go to the modifiers tab and add a curve modifier. Using the eyedropper tool in the curve object option, I will select the circle we just created. In the curve modifier option, I will choose the z-axis for the deform axis. Now you will notice that the shape is quite large, so I will scale it down. After scaling it down, we will need to increase the count value in the array modifier. So I will increase the count value. I will continue scaling until the starting and ending point of shape meet and align perfectly with minimal gap. Next, I will place the same shape at the bottom part of this basket. For that, I will select both the shape and the curve we created and press Shift plus D to duplicate them. Then I will move the duplicated set downward along the z-axis. At the bottom, I will scale it down further because I don't want this part to be that thick. After scaling it down, I will need to increase the count value in the array modifier again. So I will increase the count value. I will scale it so that the starting and ending point align perfectly with minimal gap. Now I will move this object slightly upward. You can now see that we have created a consistent design on both the top and bottom parts. Now I will create the handle for this. For that I will press Shift plus A to create a circle, and in edit mode I will rotate that circle 90° on the y-axis. After that I will move the circle upward along the z-axis and select half of the circle to delete those vertices by pressing X. Then I will select these vertices and scale them down slightly. Overall I will scale up the shape a bit. Now enable proportional editing. Then I will select the top vertex and move it up along the z-axis. Remember, you can use the scroll wheel to adjust the influence of proportional editing. I will adjust the shape if we need it. Next, I will press Ctrl plus 2 to add a subdivision surface and set the levels to 3. Then apply the subdivision surface modifier. After that, I will select this design and duplicate it by pressing Shift plus D. Then press Escape so the duplicated part stays in place. Now I will remove the curve object in Curve modifier and use the eyedropper tool to pick the new handle part. It's not picking up because I have not converted it to a curve yet. So I will right click and convert it to a curve. Now I will pick it in the Curve modifier, change the axis to Z and reduce the count value. As you can see, the handle is now created. I can also adjust its scaling. Now I will add some more detailing to the shape. For that I will move the 3D cursor to this position and press Shift plus A to create a circle. In edit mode I will scale down the circle and place it where we need it. And then rotate it slightly. After that I will right click and convert it to a curve. In the curve data settings I will increase the depth value a bit. You can adjust the scaling and depth value according to your preference. After that I will duplicate this by pressing Shift plus D and move it a bit. I will continue duplicating and adjusting these parts along the shape. Then I will right click and set them to shade smooth. After that I will duplicate one part, rotate it and adjust it on this side. I will align it properly. Then I will duplicate this part again to create 3 more copies and position them accordingly. Now I will select all of them and press Ctrl plus J to join them into one object. Next I will right click and choose Set Origin and then Origin to 3D cursor. But before that I will move the 3D cursor to the word's origin and then set the origin to 3D cursor. After this I will go to the modifiers tab and add a mirror modifier. I will set the axis to Y. Now you will notice that the mirror is not working correctly. So first I will select the object and press Ctrl plus A to apply all transforms. After applying the transforms, I will add the mirror modifier again and set the axis to Y. Now you can see it's mirrored perfectly. I will now add material to the objects. I will not create any material from scratch. I have installed the Blender Toolkit add-on and I will provide its link in the description. If you have not installed it, you can install this add-on from there. It provides us with many free assets that we can use in our projects. So I will search for wood in the Blender Toolkit add-on here and select the material. As you can see, many wood materials are available here. From here you can choose the material you like and drag and drop it onto the object you want to apply it to. To show the material, we will go to the material preview mode. As you can see, the material has been applied to this part. Now I need to apply the same material to the rest of the objects. I will select all the objects and then select the one with the already applied material last. After that, I will press Ctrl plus L and choose Link Materials. This will apply the material to the all selected parts. We can also edit this material. To edit, I will go to the shader editor. First of all, you can see that the UV node is connected to the vector. Since we have not unwrapped the object, so I will connect the object to the vector here. After that, I will go to the textures and select box instead of flat. I will select box for each texture instead of flat. After that, you can see that we can also change the roughness value from here. Look, if I increase or decrease the roughness value, you can see how the texture changes accordingly. Now we will move on to the rendering this object. For rendering, I will not be creating lighting from scratch because we will cover the lighting part in detail in another class where we will learn how to add lights and environment lighting properly. In this session, we will use the Blender Toolkit add-on to add lighting. First, I will select and delete the existing light and camera from the scene. Then in the Blender Toolkit add-on, choose the scene and write lighting and press enter. You will see many scenes. Note that scenes with a lock icon are paid while the ones without a lock icon are free to use. I will click on a free scene and press OK. You can now see the new scene has been loaded. I will select the sphere and this extra part and delete them since I don't need them. Then I will click here and then on scenes to see both scenes in outliner. I will select all the objects we designed in the previous scene and copy them using Ctrl plus C. Next, I will switch to the new scene and paste the copied objects there. I will scale them down to fit with the new scene and adjust their position accordingly. I will duplicate them since we are preparing for rendering. I will rotate the duplicated object slightly to enhance the look. I will now adjust the camera view. Currently the camera is set to the default view, but I want to show the object from a top side angle. First I will select the camera and press R to rotate it, then press X twice to rotate it along the local x-axis. This will let me adjust the camera angle. Next I will press G followed by Z to move the camera upward so that I can capture the top view of the object. After adjusting the height, I will rotate the camera again by pressing R and X to get the desired angle. I will move the camera forward by pressing G followed by double Z to zoom in on the objects. Once the camera is set, I will focus it on the specific object, circle.009. I will select the camera, go into its settings and set the focus on circle.009. This will ensure that the camera is focused on the correct part of the scene. Now let's move to the rendering setting. First I will adjust the resolution to match our needs and then set the rendering engine to cycle. You can also adjust the maximum samples as per your preference. Make sure to check the denoising option to reduce noise in the final render. After configuring all the settings, simply go to the render and click on render image to start rendering. I hope this tutorial was clear. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I will get back to you as soon as possible. See you in the next class. Take care.